This conference will now be recorded. This conference will now be recorded.
So let's discuss more about how the questions are being asked for the functional consultant when they go for the interview. So till now we have learned the functional part. I'll be more focused about the functional interviews which will be asked. So that will the questions start something like this. That first of all they will ask you related to the supervisory organizations and the custom organizations, that how they are built and then how they are interrelated to each other. There will be few questions asked like, can we directly hire people in cost center, company or locations, kind of that. Then it will be more like when you are hiring in a say supervisory organization, how it is then related to these custom organizations or the cost center company anywhere, how they are interrelated and how the employees are automatically assigned. Few questions will be asked more about like why we are create the hierarchies, like what's the use of cost center hierarchy, what's the use of location hierarchy, maybe what's the use of region hierarchy and all those things. So that will be like the basic initial questions when you go and compete for the HCM interview part. Parallelly, as they move on, they'll ask how do you configure the compensation grades? What is the difference between grade and grade profile? Then how do you configure the allowance plan? Then how we can relate that, how we create the eligibility and how these eligibility
This
rule
is
will
for
control. Yeah, Bala.
this is for functional or for both?
Yeah, this is for functional Workday functional side question. So till now we have covered the HCM part, so I'm just covering the HCM interview questions. So from the day we'll start the technical part, I'll be more related to the technical interview questions. Uh,
Okay.
that is how, right? So typically these are the questions. So I mean, basically the questions start from those basic organization questions, but then when it moves on further, it goes on to the compensation part. That how do you configure the compensation? Then how the grade and grade profile, why the grade and grade profiles are created. Then it will be more like how do you configure the allowance plan? How the eligibility rules controls everything, that which particular employee is eligible for which compensation grade or for which compensation profile, sorry, or for which allowance plan. It's kind of that. So those are the questions which will be asked primarily for compensation part. There will be very I mean, you can say very must have questions in a Workday interview for functional guys is on the security part. So that is very important, and everybody asks this question related to security. That is how do you configure the security? What is a security group? What is a role-based security? What is the difference between constrained and unconstrained security groups? Then how do you add your security group in the security policies, either in domain security policy or in business process security policy? What is being controlled by what, like domain security policy restricts what and business process security policy restrict what. And so all those kind of questions will be asked as a part of HCM consultant when we move into the you can say like when we go to the security part. So typically these are the basic questions which are being asked as part of functional consultant, that how you do you explain your clients that why you need a security group, and how do you explain that what kind of security group you have to create, or what kind of security access will be provided to a particular security group. So those are the kind of questions those are the kind of questions which are being asked whenever you go for the functional interviews. uh, Moving on to that, like apart from the security, they ask more on terms of the business process, that how do you configure it? Can you create a new business process? In terms of that, you can strictly say no, you can only configure the business process which are there in the system. And then they will ask so we will cover few topics in the business process once we'll configure it during our that practice tenant. But typically these are the questions asked, what are the due dates? Can you configure the notifications? Can you send the notification through mail in business process? So all those types of questions are being asked in terms of functional consultants when you go for the interview. Then it's more like when you hire a person. uh, uh, Somebody asking question?
No, Run, this is Vivek. It's just a quick confirm I'm back.
Okay. Okay. So when you hire a person, how do you see that whether the correct compensation plan is being assigned to him, or like the current organization assignment is happening to him, or like whether all the hiring processes are being followed or not? Is there any skip? And then once he's hired, all the data is being, how do you test that whether all the data is being populated or not in the system? So that is primary HCM interview questions, and they will also cover about the iLoads, which will definitely cover once we will have this tenant setup ready. We will definitely cover the iLoad part as well, that how do we configure the bulk data and upload it into the system. Um, I'll show you one iLoad sheet. Give me an example. Give me a second. That how this iLoad sheet works in the system. So I downloaded it yesterday. I'll show you that. So can you all see my screen?
No, I can see. Yeah, it's now.
You can see that Excel sheet, right?
Higher employee.
Yeah. So now, like there is one higher business process in the system, as we have seen. So in the higher business process, these are the steps. So these are the predefined steps which are being provided for this particular client for whom I downloaded this Excel sheet. So these were many steps in that, like all those A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, and all those steps. So like we propose the compensation, then we update ID information, then we enter the government ID, enter the passport and visa details. If any license thing is provided, any custom ID will cover that. Then all the assignment organization part, we will cover this pay group and payroll part. Then or like if any one-time payment like joining bonus, anything kind of being paid, if there is any stock which is being provided. Once we enter everything, then a Workday account for him is created so that he can enter into the Workday system by his own credentials. Then any personal information change, and so all those steps are there in the business process. It is again dependent on customer to customer basis, and again values can be populated as an, or can be changed, the steps can be changed as in how the customer needs. So once we have this step here, you can see this is our first ILO sheet where we will enter the data. So it's more like you can see that first, whenever a person is being hired, it is called an applicant, right? Where he'll be giving an interview. So in Workday also, if he's being hired, his applicant details will be created. So he'll enter the applicant detail, his ID, his name, and like his country, his title, salutation, first name, last name, and all those things. And then we'll enter his personal details like first name, last name, secondary name, local name. So if it is like, as somebody had asked earlier, like if he's hired in China, then like locale to be provided, so we can provide the local name in Chinese script or anything kind of that. Then we will enter all those details like suffix, so all those columns, like whatever is being required, country, title for which he'll be hired, and then
Arun, are these the same as the EIB templates?
yeah. So typically
Okay.
EIB also uses the iLoad templates itself behind that. So there is no difference in that. Even EIBs also use the same template as we download from you can say from the iLoad sheets. So then, like for each step, there will be one Excel sheet which will be provided, and in each things you will fill in the details. All the here, sorry,
Okay,
here
okay.
will
So we use the
here will
same
enter
for
all
EIB as well as iLoads.
exactly.
Okay.
So then, for compensation also, we will tell, okay, this is the compensation package, this is the grade, this is the profile, this is the start date, this is the amount in currency, the frequency, and so if there is any unit plan, so all those, so this is like a general template, so we'll have everything like all the allowance plan for which will be applied to all the eligibility and everything. So then we will go for update ID information like related to all his ID, say national ID, I mean if it is passport, or in US it's the SSN number. Then we'll go for all the government IDs, like it again based on like how for each country these government IDs are being governed. So typically by this way, like we'll enter each and every details for, so suppose we have to upload 100 employee data, there will be 100 rows which will be created, and each row will be representing for that particular employee which who is being hired into the system. So that is how this whole iLoad sheet works. And then once we fill in the data, we upload it either through AIB or through iLoad process, and then like we upload the bulk amount data.
Arun, actually,
Arun,
I've
do we
seen
need to
multiple
fill up?
columns. Yes, Seema,
Sorry.
you can go.
Sorry, Anand. Okay. So, do we need to fill up all the tabs, or supposing I just want to update, let's say, passports and visas, so I'll just fill up passports and visas and upload it,
Yeah,
or do I need to
yeah.
complete everything?
No. So there are again the things like they will tell. So if you see here, this is the required field, then all are optional. So Workday specifically tells you what are the required and what are the optional fields. You have to only fill those mandatory details. You just want to upload the basic amount of data.
Okay, and we can upload the Delta data. We don't need to upload like everything, all the employee data all over again.
No, not every. So suppose for the first time you have to upload everything.
Hmm.
Then like post that, suppose in the future only 10 people are hiring, so you'll just enter it, the 10 employee data, and that will be uploaded. Even for some employees, suppose there is a change, then again you will download the template for change. I mean there will be business processes for like to change personal ID, to change compensation, all those things. Then you can download that particular iLoad, upload the data, and update it into the system.
Okay, 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 thanks.
Right. So that is how this whole iLoad sheet works. There are like all for all the business process, there is iLoad sheets which you can use and upload.
Arun, I've seen multiple columns for first name, last name. What is that exactly?
I'll just show you. So if you see in the heading, it will tell you everything. So if you see at the top,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go back. So now for applicant, there is this name data section, right?
Okay.
That is if you see for applicant, this section. Then for so one was for like the I mean the legal name, then is for the preferred name, then it's for the you can say uh, maybe it's like so if you see applicant data, personal data, name, preferred name data, then you have then you have for local, it's the same concept applies. Then for suffix data, it's the same concept applies. Then any additional name if they have, then the same concept applies for the additional name as well. So that is how things are like moved are filled in. So it's not that you have to fill in for everything. It's like for basic details you can fill in and upload the bulk amount of data into the system. So since this is a generalized template, right, only required things for each customer, it will depend on like for which customer what you want to know. what you want to fill in. But the basic concept is like you cannot remove these columns. Even if you're not filling the data, you should not delete those columns. Just leave them as blank. Don't use that. Right. So that is a kind of simple template which I wanted to show you about that. I mean, bulk uploading data into the system.
So how this process is, initiated? This template is we will have to send to client and they will fill it and give it to us, or we have to manually take the data from their Excel and put it in this Excel page.
So
What is generally
typically,
you guys are doing?
typically that's what I told you. Like it depends on customer basis. There may be few customers who are well aware of these iLoad things and they directly ask for the iLoad templates. For those who
Mhm.
don't, we just send them the sample Excel data. So we'll for every
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah,
You
so what I'm
answer.
saying is like we will create you can say a like sample template for customers where you fill in like the first name, last name. This is how each customer, I mean each partner or any implementation company who is doing it, they would have filled in they would have created their own template. With that we send the data and then we upload it in our Workday. Sorry, in the Workday IDO.
Let me ask you a question to you. Okay. The template what you are showing right now is a template provided by Workday or is a template that you guys created for a particular client.
This template is being created by Workday, Bala. This is
Okay.
only for like when we upload the data into the. But any implementation company will have their own sample template for which they want to extract the data from the clients. So that they will send, because this is something like unnecessary fields which may or may not be required. So all
Right.
those things are discussed before we implement or set up the tenant. We say, okay, what are the fields you have in your system? So they'll tell that we have the first name, we have the last name, then we have the suffix, prefix,
Understood.
we have the
Understood.
local name. So then we will send only those things in our sample template file, and then we'll upload it into the iLoad sheets.
Okay. So next question, I have a couple of questions. Okay. So
Yeah.
this is a template provided by Workday. I understand that. Suppose if you have create your own template for one particular.
Ala, your voice is bit low.
Okay, you're able to hear me now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Suppose you come up with your own template, then that template will be a subset of the template provided by Workday, right? Am I right?
No, the template will always remain the same. There will be no subset template kind of that.
Okay.
For
Okay.
hiring the employee, this template will be used forever.
Okay.
Whether
So
you are hiring one employee or you are hiring 1,000, it will be remaining the same.
okay. So somebody asked this question, right? Who will populate this template? You said the client will populate the template, right?
No, it's not like that. Sometimes client ask, okay, we can directly populate the template, but this is primarily being the responsibility of the functional consultants.
Right. But see, the client does not need to be a brand new client. Generally, 99.99% the client will move from one system to Workday,
Yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah,
So you need to extract the data from the client from the legacy system to Workday,
exactly.
Arun, there's
right?
some,
Right. So when you
I
move
can't.
your data from legacy system to Workday, so you need to have some kind of program because you can manually go and fill this Excel sheet. Am I right?
Yeah, so I'll tell you one example. I mean, that's a great question, but it totally depends with the company who is implementing the Workday system for the customer. So, I mean, I'll tell you my example, like where I was working as a Workday consultant. So, what we did, like we had a PeopleSoft team, we hired people from PeopleSoft in our Workday practice, got them certified and trained in Workday practice, and then we asked them to write the SQR code to extract the data from the legacy system. So
Understood.
they
Understood.
they
So
wrote that
uh,
SQR code,
the
and then we got.
SQR, and all those things are not provided by Workday. It is
No,
it is okay. That's it. Okay.
it will be
Last question.
purely the tenant. Yeah, yeah, Bala.
Last question. Can you share
Yeah,
this template to all of us now?
yeah. I'll share this template with everyone.
Okay, man. Thanks. Yeah.
Can you also
Um,
experience a lot of noise? I don't know whose headsets are not working on what exactly is the issue, but the session is not clear to me. I guess it's there's some issue with Bala's system. It's
So,
I'm not able to understand what question he asked and what was it all about. It was really.
So right now there are, yeah. So right now, Vivek, there are three people who are unmuted. I mean, you, me, and Anand. So Anand, can you also go on mute? Yeah. So is that fine now, Vivek?
Yeah.
So you were asking something? Like I think Seema had a question. Like please go ahead, whosoever had the question.
No, it was
Yeah, Arun, thanks.
Yeah, Seema.
Sorry, Vivek, you were asking something?
No, please go ahead. Actually, I was not able to hear anything clearly. That's why I just raised it.
Okay. So Arun, the hire employee or hire worker template, is that also the template used for updating information regarding existing employees, or there is a separate template for
No,
that?
so if you see here, so there are steps, right? That if you see, let's say that change personal information, right? Suppose in the future you have to
Um,
change.
I
Arun,
can't see
actually, we
your
are
screen.
not able to see your screen.
I'll just screen share it. Is that visible now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you see, there's one step in hiring which is called change personal information, right? So that is a kind of again a sub business process in the Workday system. So we'll download the template for this particular change personal information and upload only those particular records on which you need to update it, and then you can directly upload it into the system.
Okay, okay. And one more question. So supposing for existing employees, we are updating just one field for them, let's say phone number or something in their personal information. So
Yeah.
for 100 employees. So in that case, for all the mandatory fields that are there on that sheet, do we need to update all the columns for them all over again, or how would that
No. So
work
typically
out?
when you are downloading the template for the changes, you have to only enter the employee ID and those particular records for which you need to change.
Okay, so even if something says like mandatory, we can ignore that, or because there are a few of them which says required, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. For hiring, these are the things. But suppose you are only going for the change, so that template will be different. That will only have like for employee ID will be mandatory and anything. So all other things will be optional. Just need to update only those things which are linked changing.
Okay, okay.
Arun, can we export details, employee details in Excel? This
You
same
can.
template?
That is how like EIB outbound works out. That you can extract these things in like you can download the template. So using iLoads, there's another thing like as we talked about, and we'll see once we'll have the functional configuration ready in the tenant. You can see that using iLoads, you can download the fully loaded templates from the system. So that will download
So
all the records in there.
all the details of employee are there in that Excel, right?
Yeah, that will be downloaded in the text sheet.
Okay. And while hiring employee, what the template you are already shown us, there we can put organizational supervisory organizational also, or we have to keep it separate Excel for that.
Now, if you see here, I'll just show you. So in the hire employee itself, I think there's one column. Let's just search. That is super. Okay. So if we say here organization, so here we'll enter this that supervisory organization's reference ID.
Reference ID means that that number, serial number, something that
No. So
we.
for everything you create in the system, a reference ID is automatically generated. So just copy those reference IDs and you'll paste it here.
Okay.
Right. And similarly, if you see here, let's go to edit organization tab. Yeah, here if you see, You can like enter the company, the cost center, the region, any custom organization you have created, all those things,
Okay, Arun, understand.
right? So that is how this
Arun,
ILO.
can you
Yeah.
also explain the sequence of the iLoads? Like first, which one is loaded? Like first is create location, and then we have cost center and all that. So how many iLoads are we talking about?
Okay. So typically, I mean, for hiring an employee, if you see the steps, I mean, step sheet which I had shared earlier, right? That setup data sheet. If you see here, I had marked the steps as well. So this is how you will go in your iLoads as well.
Okay, so each step is corresponding to one iLoad.
Yeah. So I mean, this particular will be one, then cost center will be one, company will be one. You will also be creating the hierarchies. So there will be ILO template for hierarchies as well. Then there will be a template for job profiles. Then there will be a template for compensation. That will be one single template. Then for security group, there will be one single template. Then for business process, there will be one. So typically, business processes are always configured on the system, uh, because those are like created at initial level only before you hire. So business processes are directly configured on the system, and then you use the ILO suite of hire to upload it. So we follow the similar structure as we have written here. That's a similar structure we'll be using in the iLoads as well.
Okay. And in the system, how do we know which one, like for example, create location? What is the iLoad name for create location? So
Same.
how
So
do we?
once our tenant will be ready, I'll show you. Like you just enter that. So there's one task which is called implementation suite. As soon as you for doing any iLoad, there's this task in Workday system which is called implementation suite. Once you enter this, then it will open an ILO template. So there you have to select like for which particular action you are doing. So for location, there will be ILO template. For cost center, there will be ILO template. For company, there will be ILO template. For hire, there will be ILO template.
Okay.
Right. So that is how this iLoad thing works. We'll definitely see it. We'll upload the data using iLoads as well. But before that, I mean, it was also very required to understand how this is done as a part of functional configuration on the tenant itself. Once you're well aware of this, once you're well aware of all the steps that what are the created, then you can use your own knowledge now. Like this is how we do it manually in the system. That's a similar. They will do it. You will do it in the iLoad sections as well. Right. So that is how even the whole iLoad configuration and like the functional setup is done.
Arun, one more question.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry.
please.
In each of the iLoads, there are these reference IDs, which is system generated, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that, like, for example, if we are loading, there'll be like hundred and thousands of records. So we'll have to go and then manually search for the reference IDs for maybe organization or location or cost center and then update the sheet there, or is there like a faster way to do it?
So they're like you can generate the templates. Like suppose you have created the locations, you can generate the fully loaded location template and get that access sheet in your hand, and then you can identify for this location. This is the reference ID. Copy and paste it there.
Okay, so we have to have a like a reference sheet, but we still need to manually update it
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the.
that you have to do manually in the system in those ILO sheets.
Okay, okay.
So that is why I'm saying that for functional consultant, this is the main pain area when you are creating the ILO sheet, because there's a lot of manual work which is required. But that is why you hire functional consultants in the organizations, right?
Arun, how does the sheet get validated? I mean, does it run through some compiler when it is uploading?
So while you use these, once you fill in the template, there are two options in Workday. One is like you only run it in the validation mode, and one is like a fully loaded mode. So once you're running it in the validation mode, what Workday will do is it will process each record, but will not upload into the system. It will process each record, extract the value, and try to put it into the Workday system and see whether it is fine or not. For whatever rows there are errors, it will generate an error log. For this column, this is the value which is wrong. For this particular column, this is the value which is wrong. Once you run it into the validation mode, you can get all the errors. Once you resolve all the errors, then you can upload it fully into the system.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think, is there any other question in this?
This is not easy.
Yeah,
Arun.
this is for sure not easy. That's what I'm telling you. That's why, like, functional consultants are, like, to be very frank, if I tell you, functional consultants are paid more in the Workday domain than technical consultants, because their jobs are like more tedious and more important than the integration guys. Because if you don't have this setup in a successful manner, you'll not be able to create any integration that will fetch the correct records.
Now client will put it all data on your head and they will say map it and import it.
Exactly. They will only send you the details if you need. The rest all will be taken care by the functional consultant. So any other question for you guys?
Not on this, Arun, but I was just wondering if we can go through like a project plan or something right now since the instance is down, or
Definitely. Let me just see where I have an example. Give me a second.
Any update in regards to tenant? When can
It will
we
be like within
expect?
next 2 days that will be ready. By most probably within 2 days that will be all set up and like
So
ready for you.
hopefully we can practice at weekend, right? Because weekend is
Uh,
the most preferred time to go through with all the sessions and do the
So we
practice
are
so that.
trying to get this resolved ASAP. That is either by tomorrow or day after tomorrow. We are trying our best that we can get it ready for you guys so that you can do the practice on the weekends itself. But we definitely are trying our best so that nothing is lost from your side. And if you get it by weekend, then definitely it's a good thing because you will have all 2 days to do practice and everything.
Yeah.
So right now I don't have that. Project plan sheet, but definitely I'll get it downloaded and I'll share it tomorrow. Because I could not find any project plan sheet today, but definitely I'll share it with you guys and you can take a look during your weekends as well.
okay, Arun.
Yeah, that I'll do.
And document-wise, what are the kind of deliverables that we have to provide to the client?
So it's more like when you're going for a project, and when once you're done, then the first thing which will be like you'll have the whole project milestone that this is on this day we'll complete our functional configuration, on this day we'll complete our these integrations, kind of that. That's the first thing we do as a deliverable. Then for each like for functional side, the only requirement specification is that template which you share to the customers to extract the data. Then for technical side, for each integration we'll be creating our design docs and we'll be keep on sharing with the customers that first they sign off with the design document to get everything rolled out. I think I have a design document for integration. I'll just try to see if I have. Just give me a second. So this is how the integration design sheet looks like. Again, it depends on a customer, I mean, implementation partner basis, that how do they want their design document to look like. So that will be the first thing where it tell, okay, why you're building this integration, what are the resources you'll put in, then the description about the document which we have created. Then it'll also put in any questions we have, like what type of security they need, what type of benefit they need, anything kind of that. Then we'll also talk about like what type of file format you are using, whether you are using a core connector or you're using a EIB or a custom report or a studio. All those things we'll fill in these particular sheets. Then we'll also go for like any specific requirement or assumptions we are putting in for that integrations. Then we'll go for like fields, like all the report fields or any kind of fields which we are extracting from Workday, that these are the fields we'll be extracting, like employee ID, employee name, birth date, date of death, name, first name, last name, all those fields which will populate. Then we'll also talk about like what is the flow diagram, that whether you're creating a core connector, then that core connector will go to your XSLT processing, and then the file will be processed to SFTP. That will be kind of flow diagram which will build here. And then we'll write the test cases as well, as that okay, this particular scenario, what are the test cases we are doing it. So that's a kind of design document, I can say, which is created for integration. There's no specific design document for functional side, because it's more like the templates which we provide to the customers, and they send the data to us. For technical side, these are the design documents we create for all the integrations, and that is the first deliverable we send to the customers. Then once our input once our integrations are completed, we again go for the UAT testings. There will share our test case results, and then the customer will use a design document and this test case template and see whether everything is fine or not. Once that is done, on a week basis, we also share the project plan status. That is, okay, are we on track, whether it is red, whether it is green, or it is orange. We'll send that weekly status to the customers. And kind of in the end, when everything is done, that's a kind of a single sign off with the customer that, okay, all the things are delivered on time, or anything which has happened in that.
Are these standard documents provided by Workday, or we'll have to create our own?
So typically, Workday also provide a standard design document template, but that's up to the implementation partners whether they want to use it or not. But yeah, these fields will remain there. I mean, these sections will remain there. Maybe it can be like name can be changed, or two sheets can be merged all together in a single sheet. But all those things are to be captured.
Okay.
So that is what are the deliverables we send to the customers, get the sign offs, and then start building. And for functional, that is the same thing, like a simple general template which are being created by the partners. And like once all that is done, we'll have a final sign off with all those things. So that is all about the, you can say, the project plan. I'll share a design template of a project plan which are being like specified, designed by Workday. You can also take a look. I'll share that sheets with you as well.
Okay, thanks, Arun.
Yeah.
Arun, what is the role after implementation is done? That means if employees go, client goes live. So
Yeah.
what is the role after that?
So role again depends on like how your further business is with the customers, whether they want like a maintenance from you only, or like, so typically any partner will provide a 1 month to 6 month support after the go live phase. In between, if anything comes up, then 6 months there will be a proper, like, there will be consultants from the partner company who will work with the customers to get those things if any issue comes up. If not, if it's like only 1 month, it will be only 1 month, and post that the implementation team will move out. And suppose if the customers are going for any other support partners other than the implementation partner, then they will come into the picture and do further changes in the Workday system.
What about if there are any major changes in policies? They have to again ask for fresh modifications, or that will be inclusive of this implementation?
So again, that depends on like what are the SOW, like what is the statement of work is being signed by the customers and the partners. That is whether any like 6 months, whether any modification is coming up, will that be a change order? Will that be a like new implementation kind of that? That again depends on the deals which are being signed with the customers.
Okay. And what about training?
That is one such part which is always a part of Workday implementation, that we have to provide the knowledge transition training to the customers. That will be like a week or 2 weeks kind of thing, depends on the project size, and that is also is the responsibility for someone who's implementing that Workday tenant for the customer.
Okay, that means train the trainer concept is there. We are not going to entertain all the employees of the company.
No. It will be only specific to those people whom that customer identifies and tell them that okay, these are the people you have to train.
There's also limitations. You have any, Workday provide any max count?
For the training?
Yeah.
No. It is
That is
totally
also
between
depend on the consultant.
the customer and the implementation partner.
Okay. And what is the charges per man day, if you have any idea on that? If I want
So
to
again,
say,
that is dependent on partner to partner basis. Like a few companies charge like maybe $85 for offshore and $2 to $10 for onshore. Bigger SIs like Deloitte and Accenture would charge like $100 and $250 kind of that. That again like is all negotiable between the partners and the customers. So there is no specific rate card which is there. But again, like if you are bidding and if your price is low, you'll definitely get the project. It's kind of that.
okay.
So for implementation, the price is a bit high, but for support, the price is a bit low. That is how it works.
So this implementation partner and support partner are different, or that can be managed by a single implementation partner?
The implementation partner can also be the support partner, but then there are various support partners who are giving the support at a lesser rate than the implementation partners. So then typically it depends on the customer how they are willing to pay and how they are like going to sign the deal with somebody.
Actually, I have problem in that. If say implementation, how that support guys understand what the policy is implemented?
That is the job of support guys. They have to study, they have to learn, and then go for it.
Okay, because that complication setup. If if I'm an implementer and done some business process implemented, and client having any issues, application is lying somewhere else, and how that support executive will find out what is the issue?
That is a pure hit and trial, and the experience which comes into the picture.
That means support executive is more experienced than implementation.
I mean, they have to be, if not experienced, they at least have to be logical to understand what is being implemented, so that they can take up the challenge and fix it.
And
Arun, further to Anand's question,
Yeah.
You said that mostly the integrations are documented, but not the business requirements. So if we are taking the requirements from the client and then we are not, documenting them in any
No,
way, and
it's
then
being documented, right? Seema, it's being documented. So like all the data which you're fetching, that is documented in the template. All the business processes which you are configuring, that will be documented in the business process template. So all those things are done. But for integrations, it's more like on integration basis you document. But for functional side, it's all in the templates which are being created.
I think initial that VRS is created, that will be signed up from the client, and that is the document for the implementation. Right, Arun?
It depends on like the first document which is being signed with the customer is called the statement of work. There it will only mention, okay, we'll be doing the functional configuration like creating organizations, creating security groups, configuring the business processes, hire people. Then there will be like 100 integrations which will be building on. That's the first 10 like signed document with the customers. Then once we move into the implementation part, for functional we'll be creating our templates and I'll share it with the customers. Once customers fill in we upload it into the document and again use that as a sign off that, okay, these things which you have shared is totally being loaded into the system. Once that is done, then we move on to the technical side of the integrations.
So there's also a final sign off. Actually, if you take a live example, whatever
Yeah,
is studied in BRS, there may be some changes, 25%, 30% while implementation.
that
So
always
after
happens.
that is actually a practical scenario is this. So after the
Yeah.
implementation is done, there's also a sign off process in Workday.
Yeah, once that is done, then there will be a sign off with the customer that, okay, so then it will go like a step by step. At first they'll do the sign off for functional part, then they'll do the sign off for each integration and integration basis.
Okay. Yes, Sima, you can answer.
Yeah, so Arun, for example, for business processes, right, when we are configuring workflows for the client, for example,
Yeah.
so in that case, what you're saying is basically that template itself is the document. There is no other documentation as such.
So that template is itself, you can say, the design document of business process.
Okay, is that something that is exported and that is kept as a copy in the maybe a shared folder
Yeah,
or somewhere so
mostly it
that
will be an Excel or a Word document which is shared with the customers and with the like consultants.
okay, and the sign off is based on that document.
Yeah.
Okay.
Arun, I have a question. Do
Yeah.
clients insist on certification when the implementation partner is coming on board?
Typically, for implementations, only the partners can do the implementation, and for partners to do the implementation, that they can only put in the certified consultants,
And
because
what about
Workday will take a check. Workday will take a check whether you are putting a certified consultant in the implementation projects or not.
okay, and what about the third parties who are implementing and who are not partners of Workday?
No, no third party can implement Workday system.
Okay, so you have to be got it.
You have to be the partner to implement Workday. Because how Workday deal is signed up is like first, so there is no direct connection between the customer and the like implementation partners. How does this go is like, first the customer has to talk to the vendor that, okay, they are they are implementing a Workday project in the system. So first Workday will finalize itself with the customers that you go for Workday. Once that deal is done, then Workday will provide the name of the partners who are eligible for this deal. Only those partners can bid for the project. Not even all the partners can bid. Workday will provide, these are the 4 partners who will bid for your project, and these 4 partners will go and bid. And then only out of those 4, you will get a project.
Got it.
So even if, suppose, let's say, take an example, like I have a company and I have a very good relationship with the company who's implementing Workday or who wants to implement Workday, like we are friends and we thought like we two will go together, we cannot bid the project. It's more like first the customer has to go to the Workday, then Workday will tell these 3 or 4 partners are there who will bid for your project. Maybe I may not be eligible to even bid for that project.
Okay, but once the partner backs the project, does Workday validate who are the people in the team?
Exactly. You have to tell all the customer consultants who are in the project to Workday, and Workday will validate and create the account for them.
Got it.
Actually, this is a total business from the Workday.
Exactly.
He will give it opportunity to all.
Yeah. So how Workday projects are bidded, it's more like what Workday do is they will identify a bigger SI like Accenture, Deloitte, who have the offices across the countries. There will be one SI, big SI, then there will be a small SI who is in those particular locations, and then there will be a boutique partner. Boutique partner means like who is only for that particular country. So Workday does the part. Workday gives the partnership in such a way that you have a big SIs who have all the offices. They will be the Workday partners. Then there are smaller SIs who are like in 3-4 countries. They will be the partners. And then for each country, Workday will assign a boutique partner. So that is how Workday like goes for partnership model. And for smaller projects, they will always help the boutique partners to grab those projects. So for the customer, they'll always tell that this is my boutique partner who is local to you and will be doing the bidding part for you. So Workday helps the boutique partners to grow, to grab the projects, and also helps the bigger SIs for bigger companies like Dell, Amazon, all those things. For them, they will always choose the bigger SIs to bid.
But when it comes to employment, like for example, now given our scenario, we are not certified. So how do we
Yeah.
go about with that? You have to find employment with.
No. So typically there are two ways, Anil. One is like when once you have the knowledge, you can be hired to the implementation partners. The reason being that for them, they don't need to train you. They just need to get you certified. And post
Okay.
certification, you can directly work on the projects. That is the one thing. Second is like you go to any support companies like Wipro, who are not the partners but are doing the support projects. You can go and join them, or you can directly go and join the customer companies, because those who have implemented Workday and are now after the go live phase, they want to hire Workday consultants so that they can directly work on like within their own organization. There also it's an opportunity for you guys to go and join.
Okay. And
So for
this kind
supporting,
of,
yeah.
I'm sorry. So this kind of scenario is everywhere across globe, or is it
Yes,
specific to
it's
India?
everywhere. It's everywhere. For support, you don't need to be certified. For only implementation, you need to be certified.
Got it.
So what are the technical knowledge required, Arun, for be a certified partner of Workday?
There's no, it depends on like again partner to partner. So I was like a PL SQL developer and I got hired into Workday. So that totally
Okay.
depends on like how the partners want to hire people. So we like in my previous organization, we had hired people from PeopleSoft, from Oracle, those who are willing to move into Workday. We hired them without their certification, but since they had the knowledge of HCM and everything, we hired them and just got them certified, and immediately they were put into the projects.
Okay.
So that is why this knowledge of yours will help you to move into the partner companies also, because you can like during an interview you can mention that you know Workday in and out, and then you can go for the direct interviews, and because you know each and everything, they'll only ask you to go for the certification, and once that is done, you can directly put into the projects. If you're hiring a fresher who is non-Workday person, or like who doesn't know Workday, for them after certification they have to again go for the trainings and everything, and like for 2-3 months they'll have their ramp up plan, and then they will be put into the projects. So that is why this thing can make your life easier to move into the partner companies as well.
Okay, Arun.
Yeah. So I think we are good with the questions.
Yeah, Arun.
All right, guys. Then I'll
Thank
share
you.
this siloed sheet. I'll also try to see like how fast we can get the tenants that you can do the practice, and then like we'll move forward with that training.
Please check the tenant should be up
Yeah,
in 2
I'll do
days.
that. I'll do that. Sure, I'll do that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
guys. Then
well, thank you.
thank
Bye,
you.
Thanks,
everyone.
Arun.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks,
Bye.
Arun.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.